Wait for it. And... pow! Down he goes. Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in the Kansas. And we're going to be showing a couple of videos here. A little double feature of just... I don't know, pointing out some things that people just don't do in the game. Now, I'm not here to gripe at my teammates or anything like that. I just want to point out some things so that folks who are watching can kind of pick up if you're one of these guys that end up doing this. But we're going to start out in the middle left spawn, and we're going to go over to the A cap. Now, obviously, we know there are two destroyers in the map. We are going to almost certainly be spotted any time. So we want to not just turn flat broadside and stay that way, we want to turn out, which allows us to re-angle ourselves and thus our armor against the enemy. Also, it's much easier to hit somebody who's sailing in a straight line flat broadside than it is to hit somebody who's sailing away or towards you at an angle. It's something to do with the aiming. It's just harder to hit people. But yeah, so we're going to turn out. You can see we are already detected. We're the first thing lit up, of course, because our destroyer's going horizontal rather than trying to push into the center area to spot anything. And that's kind of the first issue. But Georgia fires his guns, and that's going to give us a perfect opportunity. He gets a shot into us, and of course they give him a citadel. He hits literally the back of my ship and gets a citadel. I hit him, dead center of mass, and I get nothing but penetration. Still 16,000 damage. Pretty solid hit. So I'm not too upset about it. But you can see I get angled a little better. Just want to turn out and disengage so that we're not getting picked apart by the Richelieu, who is also there. But that's when I noticed there is a Miyoko out there. And we're going to go ahead, swing our guns all the way back around and take a shot at him, giving him a 2.5 mil lead. And looks pretty freaking solid to me. And it is solid, but it's a little ahead of him. And we only get the one citadel, unfortunately missing out on the dev strike by just a hair. Guy got real fortunate right there. He turned out just in time, but he did catch one citadel. But Richelieu's starting to push in. That's not preferable. We do have this Georgia on the outside. Our cruiser is kind of leading the way, which is never a good idea in a cruiser to be, you know, the first thing you're seeing is a battleship, right? You know that. And you're going to push in against him. That's not a good idea. 9 times out of 10, it ends with your death. Your very swift and immediate departure from the match. So keep that in mind. You don't want to be the first thing shot at. So luckily for him, we actually come around the corner, take a shot at the Georgia, and the Georgia shoots at us instead of our Suja. Our Akatsuki is coming over here, and he's going to be able to hopefully get into a position to torp this guy. This Georgia is being extremely aggressive, and I applaud his tenacity, but I also think that it's a very, very bad idea. You don't usually want to push straight into a cap like this, especially when you can see everybody coming over here to help. But he does, to his credit, at least avoid most of these torpedoes. We get a nasty hit into a superstructure, and that's one of the things that I don't think a lot of people utilize enough in battle, is that they don't shoot the superstructure. Like, armor piercing is absolutely devastating against American and German superstructures, but even the Yami and other big ships like that, very susceptible to at least one salvo of good armor piercing to the superstructure. Some ships get saturated a little bit easier than others. We get the front guns off at this Cheshire. He's going to get real lucky not to be removed here. Hit him for 20,000 damage. Left him with basically nothing. But I need to focus this Georgia. Of course, our Suja goes down. Again, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what the thought process was there. But Georgia, once again, getting a nasty angle through my bow side plating and getting a citadel given to him. But unfortunate. But that's going to force us to basically play bow in here. We have no choice. Now, you'll notice that there is one guy right next to me in a Scharnhorst, right? And now, early on, not pushing in the Scharnhorst, good idea. Don't do it. Because what'll happen is you just end up getting obliterated. Okay? You're an easy target. But you'll see as we start to make some headway into clearing some of these guys out, that there becomes an opportunity for this guy to push in. And he just never does. And that's one thing that I just don't understand. He's in the perfect ship for the situation that's about to develop, and he just doesn't take advantage of it. But Georgia, again, gives us a broadside here. We're getting unlucky with our dispersion. We did hit him twice there, but one of them shattered and one of them pinned. Ricochet, or not Ricochet, but the Richelieu is actually getting some good shots into us. We're resorting to one gun at a time, and you can see that was a better salvo, getting all 3 shells to hit him. But he's going to get behind the island. We're not going to be able to focus him down. Unfortunately, he's going to get away for now. He's got a Benson right there willing him. So there's that. Or Benson or an Akatsuki, I can't remember. There's a destroyer right there to give him some will to rebuild. Richelieu is punching us in the mouth. Of course, we've got will to rebuild going as well. And this is one of those rare times where we actually have our superstructure giving us a little bit of a buffer. Like, we don't actually have as much damage in our superstructure right now. Now, Georgia's coming around the corner. I'm not sure if he's going to take these torps, so I'm just preparing. It looks like the torps are going to hit him, but we're just waiting. And sure enough, he does actually eat the torp, and he goes down. The Akatsuki finds its mark. Now, Scharnhorst throws up a thumbs up, and he says he's spotted, because, I mean, there's a freaking battleship right in front of him, for God's sakes. But battleship is shooting me, the Richelieu is shooting me, so hopefully he is getting back to shooting at the Richelieu. We are going to try to knock the guns of the Richelieu. We're also going to try to hit his superstructure a little bit. We can't afford to get too much, or too cocky here. We've used all of our heals except one. We have one more heal left, and we need to save it for now. We're opening up the angle. The Richelieu is actually going to take this shot, and I thought we were angled pretty well, but he still gets a nasty hit into us. And I suspect that that is because of the Kansas's weird-shaped armor on the sides. There's a couple of flat spots that extend above the torpedo protection, and I think that's what he actually hits and pins right there, which is just, it's unfortunate, but it is a thing. Now, we've got will to rebuild going. So we don't really have to worry about a single fire here. We know that their destroyer is firing at us from the smoke with HE. So we can't afford to take any more of those hits like that. I got a little cocky. Thought I could get the shot into the Richelieu and really hurt him. We did knock out his gun temporarily. But we're going to open up. He gets a second fire. We have to damage con that. And we take another shot at his front guns. He rakes our superstructure. We have to trigger our heal to make sure that we can survive. I know we've got will to rebuild going. Probably hit that heal a little prematurely. But, you know, in the moment, it's, hey, my health's real low. Benson comes out. He's actually begging for it. Could easily be killed by anybody. The destroyer could easily shoot him. Our Scharnhorst could easily shoot him. But unfortunately, it's down to me to make sure that we shoot him because nobody else can hit a target. So, fortunately, we managed to get the shot out. We finish him off. The Richelieu shoots down into our bow armor as we close the distance here. And fortunately for us, the Akatsuki on our team actually lines up this Richelieu perfectly for this torpedo strike and blaps the crap out of him, which is huge. Because that gives us a chance. He gets a couple of good hits and a flood on him. And remember, we had just damaged this guy's gun not too long ago, so he actually ends up getting a perma-flood, which is huge. Floods being some of the worst damage you can take. And of course he hits and knocks out one of my guns. And then where do I get? Nothing. Like, my shells just did everything they could to avoid hitting his ship that time. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. But we have a gun knocked out. We have everybody starting to encroach on our broadside. You can see I am just kind of pushing forward on this guy. Why? Because my destroyer is trying to flank him. And I want this guy to keep reversing. And so we've got this Richelieu. We got his attention. He's firing at us. Fortunately, doesn't destroy any of our guns here, but he's reversing away from us to keep that range. He knows what happens if I get too close, and he doesn't want anything to do with that. We've got 3 guns on target. We take the shot at his superstructure and guns, and we knock out one of his guns and get a couple of penetrations, but he eats a lot of torpedoes and goes down. And that's what we were hoping for. Now, we look back over our shoulder. We got Massachusetts pushing into the mid. We secure the outside cap, finally. And again, this is one of those things where that guy could have rushed that battleship as well. He has torpedoes. Remember, Scharnhorst has torpedoes on both sides of his ship. He could have rushed that Richelieu. The Richelieu is not going to be able to do a whole lot of damage to the Scharnhorst before the Scharnhorst closes the distance. But Akatsuki here gets spotted, and I'm not going to lie. I blow this really badly. Like, I did not lead that shot enough. Should have gotten the kill on that man, but unfortunately just screwed the pooch. There's no other way around it. And our Akatsuki could easily kill that man. All he needs to do is open up the guns and actually start shooting him. Our Scharnhorst takes a shot. He gets a decent hit on him, but doesn't quite finish him off. And you can see we're trying to lead, trying to figure out what he's going to do. It looks like he's going to turn back out, so we take the shot. It looks solid, and it lands just in front of his ship. Like, it couldn't have been any closer. Any closer, that man's dead. And then, of course, the second shot doesn't actually hit him. But we've got the Massachusetts pushing in on us. We've still got Will to Rebuild going. Our Scharnhorst is going God knows where at this point. I'm not sure, but this is what I'm talking about. These are the moments that I could use this guy. I mean, he is at least giving me Will to Rebuild, so there's that. But this Massachusetts is pushing in. He knows he can't really do anything to me if he's just using his secondaries at this point. So we've got a really saturated superstructure, which is going to help us survive a little while. We pick up our high cal with 126,000 damage. We've got a single kill. We've done everything we can to tank as much damage as possible for our team and give our team a chance here. We are going to beach because I assume that the torpedo plane or the torpedo boat's coming back to try to torp me. My destroyer starts just kind of sitting right next to me, and I don't know if this is because he's trying to give me Will to Rebuild or what. But he's going to kind of just sit next to me, which is not good. The good news is he does get torpedoes away on this Massachusetts, and I'm going to blap this Massachusetts superstructure here, removing most of his hit points. 17,000 damage. He takes a single torp and goes down. Huge hit and a huge knockout. Now, this gives us a chance. We've tied it up in terms of ships, but they still have the advantage in terms of points. They have 2 caps. We have 1. You can see the Akatsuki that's against us is launching torp after torp after torp in our direction. He's trying to predict what we're going to do, and we're trying to stay, like, somewhat unpredictable. Bismarck comes in. He's over-angled, so we reach out and try to smack him for his oopsie. Get him for 10k right there, and we start pushing him. Now, I'm not going to lie. I did request support here before I pushed, and I thought that I could get some help from these guys, but I didn't realize that both of these guys are pointed the wrong direction. So they're either going to reverse to try to stay with me, or they're not going to be able to stay with me. And in this case, neither of them are capable of staying with me, and I end up going out here to go after the Bismarck, and the Akatsuki's ridiculously fast reload on its stupid torpedoes catches me with a single torp, which is going to reduce me to nothing. I have to use my damage con. We're no longer in Will to Rebuild, which means we are susceptible to being finished. I fire that shot a little early, and then we do blap him with the second shot here through the bow side plating. But unfortunately, at this point, I'm dead. There's nothing I can do. I'm not going to reload before he does. He hits me with HE. He actually leaves me alive, but his secondary's doing what they do, and it's just a matter of time before he gets a good hit. And he does finish me off. Actually, the mines finishes me off from the back of the map somewhere. But you can see, like, this Scharnhorst right here. This is a perfect opportunity for this Scharnhorst to be able to torp this man. And he never actually ends up doing it. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up time here because the rest of this game kind of plays out kind of slowly. So I'll catch up with you in a minute. Anyway, so as you guys can see, this is kind of a messy fight here. Again, out of the 2 of us that were alive in the battleships here, he has the torpedoes. He should have been the one to lead the charge against this guy, but he just played so passively the entire game. Like, I appreciate the Will to Rebuild he was giving me. We wouldn't have survived that long without him. We ended up putting up 171,000 damage, and unfortunately just not able to win the match. But at least we made it close. The Akatsuki and I doing most of the work for the team, but just unfortunate. And that is the way it goes. But if you're in those sort of situations, you got to pay attention. You got to use your hit points when you get a chance. And that guy not actually pushing out on that Bismarck there at the end and just being in reverse that whole time is just not good for anybody. But either way, could have been a win, ended up a loss. We ended up with Sea of Fortune as our second battle here. And this one's going to be an interesting one because obviously it's a legendary tier match. We've got a couple of people we recognize, but one person in particular, G-Man Wrecker in the Montana R. And he's going to spawn directly across from us. And we are going to have the help of, I believe, an Alaska and a Mino on this side of the map. And I basically call this one mistake. Because that's what this match ends up being. One mistake costs me this match. I had a pretty good feeling that I could win this match. I was feeling real freaking good. But one mistake, and it all goes downhill. And so we're going to showcase this for you guys. It's a little bit of a different match, but again, I don't always want to show you guys the wins and, you know, putting up 30 bajillion damage and stuff. Sometimes it's good to show these games where things don't always go to plan. And this game, like I said, everything was going to plan. Everything that I could do right, I did right. I was getting the RNG that you dream about. I was doing all of the right things, but unfortunately, we just weren't getting the help to finish people off, and we end up making one big mistake towards the end of the match. So we'll go over that as we get there, but first of all, we're pushing to the left, and like I said, we've got two cruisers here. One, I believe, is an Alaska. The other is a Mino. So we're going to push off and see if we can't find some people. You guys know I like to win the outside. Whether I'm on the left or the right doesn't matter to me, but I like to win my side. I like to try to hold the edge of the map. If you hold the edge and keep everything inside you, it's much easier to know where everybody's at. If you're letting people flank you, like, the game gets much harder at that point. So you got to try to hold the edges. You have to. You can't lemming train across the map to try to overload one side. It doesn't work more often than it does. But Montana here gets spotted. G-Man is mostly broadside. We take the shot. Unfortunate that we only get the rear guns through. The front gun's clipping the mountain. But rear gun's still going to deliver a pretty nice punch for an opening salvo on his angled broadside. 11,000 damage. So a pretty decent start. Now, obviously, I don't want to be the first thing out around the corner. That Montana and we both have ridiculous broadsides. We both very easy to take a lot of damage very quickly, so we don't want to be giving that up. Now, G-Man, after being touched by me and I believe the Alaska, he turns bow in. Now, we've talked about this before. Aim for superstructures. Why? Because watch this damage. Boom! There you go. Over 11,000 damage done in that salvo to his superstructure. Possibly a couple of deck penetrations. From this range, there could be some plunging fire. But it's definitely superstructure at least. You can see he gets touched again there by somebody else. And then he disappears. But it's not that big a deal because we do have somebody flanking out wide who should be able to spot him again pretty soon. And there he goes. You know, 15.3 kilometer detection. He's spotted. He fires at somebody else. We get spotted when we fire our guns, which means that Alaska's actually... It's either the Alaska or the Mino. Both of them potentially spotting us here. But we took another shot. Didn't get quite as good a result that time. A little bit of damage, but not quite as good as we were hoping for. But you can see he's not just taking shots from me. He's taking shots from the battleship that's over there by Alpha. And now the Alaska's pushing out in front of us. We're going to try to blap this man on his way in. We've got to be careful because we've already gotten G-Man's attention. And if we give up a juicy broadside of a Kansas, we can be sent back to port real quick. So we're going to try to angle away. And just like I said in the last one, this one was a terrible shot by me. It didn't lead him enough. A little reminiscent of the last match where I just didn't lead that destroyer enough. Ended up missing the shot, and that could have cost us the game. Because if I don't miss that shot and I don't take that torpedo, then, you know, who knows what happens with that Bismarck. I survive a little longer, and I manage to maybe kill him. But Montana takes a shot at us. Again, we're going to aim for the superstructure. We aim on the backside of the ship. He blaps our superstructure this time for roughly 15 to 17,000 damage. Pretty nasty little hit, but then we stack it right back on him for 13,000. 5 full penetrations, 9 overpins into that superstructure. That's the accuracy that I come to know and love out of the Montana and this Kansas. And I thought Alaska was going to push out, but he actually plays the smart route here. He doesn't just YOLO out. He stops behind the island. I've got G-Man firing at my cruisers, so I'm going to take another shot into his superstructure, and once again, we're going to showcase just how nasty that superstructure is on American and German battleships as we blap that man for another 14,000 damage right through that superstructure, hitting him with 11 out of 12 rounds. Take that into consideration. When I tell you this thing is God tier accurate, I'm not joking. This is Kansas and Montana are God tier accurate. It's not even a question. These things are so freaking consistent now. But Alaska gets reversing. Not going to be able to do anything there. G-Man gets a shot before he gets behind the island, but we take the shot before he gets behind the island as well. And unfortunately for G-Man, that's going to do it for him. He can't tank anymore, and we do get the Citadel this time just for the fun of it. But now we've got a Mino over here. We've got the Alaska backing off. We've lost our cruiser, unfortunately. He got a little bit too aggressive, got himself killed. But we're going to turn in, try to help. This Mino is pushing in way too aggressively. We're going to try to make him pay for it. He's actually going to turn out, and he's going to beach himself on the island. So you'll see I actually wait. It looks like he's going to beach, but I'm not sure. I want to wait until he comes to a stop so that the game's auto-aim feature, which is a thing, whether you're aiming manually or not, the auto-aim is a thing, doesn't make it just blap the frickin' island instead. So we wait for him to come to a stop, we take the shot, we get a pretty solid result. Not quite the accuracy I was hoping for on that one, unfortunately, and no Citadels, unfortunately. But we did blap him pretty good. He's about half health. Now, the Mino has an amazing heal, so you're going to see he starts healing some of that back. But he's also just sitting still. There's nothing this man can do. He's reversing. He's making himself an even juicier target because he has to reverse. Our teammate's shooting him, but not really scoring a whole lot of damage. Looks like he's going to be able to go forward here. We take the shot, but unfortunately, he actually keeps coasting in reverse a little longer, and that throws this shot off. And again, these are some of the mistakes that I make in aiming, where I'm anticipating things happening faster than they do. That's one of the biggest things that I screw up in this game, is that I anticipate somebody changing direction much faster than they actually change direction. Because I'm anticipating things that I would be doing in that situation, and it just didn't materialize. But Mino starts to turn out, and here we're going to showcase just an absolutely juicy shot. Everything that last shot wasn't, this one is going to be absolutely beautiful. Anticipating where he's going to be, leading the shot, and getting the Citadel, but of course, in true Spartan fashion, we got to leave him with just enough to get away. And that's going to be the theme for not only this Mino, but the next one that pops up as well, because there is a second Mino over here. And we're going to do the exact same thing to him. Now, we've done a really good job of making sure that our team on the other side has captured Alpha. That's huge. But they have a numbers advantage on that side with the enemy. So you got to be careful. Now, Mino comes out, goes full broadside. We give him the front guns, actually lead him a little too much, but he turns out and he catches 2 Citadels. But again, we leave him with just enough to get away. And he's going to be able to heal a little bit of that back, which is real unfortunate. But you can see I'm starting to look into the center of the map. We know that their destroyer was last known at Alpha. Their Yami is getting into the Alpha cap. Our team is rushing a Yami, which should end well for our team, considering the Yami's current positioning, but unfortunately, it doesn't end well for our team. That Yami or somebody ends up absolutely dominating our team on that side, and this match goes from, this is winnable to this is going really, really poorly all of a sudden. But we're trying to move up into the Charlie cap so that we can help push these guys. The Mino is still there. He's begging for it. We take a shot at him. I believe we Citadel him again here. No, we only get a single overpin. Sorry. Thought that was another Citadel, but yeah, he's going to get away for now. I'm pushing up. We know that Alaska's still out there border humping somewhere, so we're looking for him to pop back up and taking shots at somebody. The Mino's about to get away. Don't think we're going to quite be able to lob it, so I just hold my fire. And then I make a call that it makes sense when you think about it is, hey, I'm slow. I need to make a direct route to the place where I'm going to be the most effective. Unfortunately, our Stalingrad goes down to the Minos. You know, those 2 Minos that we left alive. Yep, Stalingrad just died to them. Our battleship's charging in right behind him, and he's going to end up with basically the same exact fate. The Minos pushing back. I'm kind of looking for a shot. Don't really have it. I'm pushing in. I've got 2 friendlies in the middle of the map. Alaska comes in. He shows up basically... Sorry, I had to sneeze. But he comes in basically full broadside, but as soon as I fire, he turns out. He's no slouch. He knows what he's doing. He's already shown he has some pretty good idea of what he's doing. But unfortunately, this is the point where I see the destroyer, and I don't actually see the destroyer. The destroyer is going to YOLO my battleship. My destroyer is right behind the battleship, going back towards the Yami. Our cruiser over there is right in front of the Yami, and everything is about to go horribly wrong as our cruiser goes down to the Yami, our Kerfers goes down to the destroyer, and our destroyer is about to YOLO out into a Yami, and I turn out to try to avoid this destroyer because I just saw him go down. We got a high cow finally with 146,000 damage. We try to turn out here, but I say something on the map. I need intelligence or something, and unfortunately the Kleber's already right there. He launches his torps. We're not actually turning anymore. And that is solely due to the fact that I radioed that I need intelligence. If you don't know what I mean by that, if you ever notice that if you use the dialogue wheel, even if you're continuing to hold a turn, it refuses to turn. It'll just make you go straight forever. You have to actually let go of the stick and then re-engage the turn. It's something that's been an issue forever, but unfortunately we end up eating 5 torpedoes there at the end, dying to the Kleber, completely goofed it up, solely because I said I need intelligence data. Had I not done that, I would have been able to turn out, avoid that, and we could have potentially won this match. But unfortunately, that's what happened, and we end up losing this match. But again, I hope you guys like these. They're a little different than normal. These are not your normal matches. They're still solid games, 150, 170,000 damage games. They're solid games, but they also show that, you know, there are moments that one big mistake like that costs me the game. Because, as you saw, I was having pretty solid, you know, RNG up to that point. I'd been slapping people around left and right, unfortunately not able to take people down. We end up with 69 targets hit, so we were absolutely cycling those guns. And also the meme, right? But our Alaska goes broadside to 2 Minos, and he's going bow into the Alaska, but 2 Minos on your broadside means you're dead pretty quickly. The good news is, Alaska also able to reload its guns relatively quickly. He's got a very easy broadside look at a Mino. He reaches out and smashes the Mino, kills the Mino, but not before the Mino takes its tool on the broadside of this Alaska. And then he over-angles, trying to angle against the Minos, gets slapped by the Alaska, and the rest is history. This man's going to die to the Mino that we left alive. But we ended up with 150,000 damage. This last Mino is going to get gunned down by a Kleber, I believe. Which is unfortunate, but it do be like that. And it's one of those frustrating games where, like, you do so much. You do as much as you can. You think everything's going really well, and because of one stupid mistake, you throw the match. And I hope it's a good teaching moment for everybody. So, if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.